There is a camera watching you. Do you know that it's watching? Have you remembered? And what bits of your identity do you just want to vanish? And what are you hiding? And what are you doing? 10 years is a long time, Peter. A long, long time. If your life was to be hidden, destroyed, deleted, what bits would you pick? How much can you hide? And will there always be a camera watching? Welcome to Extraordinary Stories Podcast. Hey, how are you? Are you well? Are you good? I am. Alright, well, hello. Thank you for the amount of amazing stories that you are sending my way at the moment. It's story overload, but it's great. Please keep sending them. They're brilliant, and I do look at every story that you send me. And even if you've sent me something I've done on the podcast before, don't worry, I don't expect you to have listened to every single thing that every story I've ever told. That would just be ridiculous. Okay, let's go straight to extra, figure out what's happening, do the shout outs, and then we're going to go on with the story. Alright, to start with, I'm going to give you a podcast recommendation. Something I am so in love with at the moment, and it's called Dolly Parton's America. I think it's been like number one on every chart for about 3 months, so you may have already heard of it. If you haven't listened to it, I would seriously give it a go. It's made by the same people who make Radiolab. I don't know if you ever listened to the Radiolab podcast. It's bloody good. So this is Dolly Parton's America, and essentially, yes, it is about Dolly Parton, which is brilliant because who doesn't love a bit of Dolly? But also, it's just, it's about so many things. It's about politics, it's about her politics, it's about women through the ages of politics, it's about aspiration in America. Oh, it's got so many bloody brilliant things going on. So it's not you wouldn't have to be a Dolly Parton fan to enjoy that podcast. It really kind of just opens your eyes to how she's viewed in so many different ways, and through so many different channels. So that's a recommendation from me. Okay, what else? What's next? Let's think. Yes, I did just want to say this. If at the moment, if you're sending me friend requests on Facebook or wherever, I will get to them, but I'm going through this thing at the moment where I'm getting lots of fake profiles. I'm literally drowning in them. I'm getting about 30 a day. I'm not kidding you. Just these fake profile friend requests all the time. So I'm having to work to kind of go through them and be like, is that a real person or is this a robot? What's happening? Yeah, Facebook's particularly bad for them. And Facebook, I'm just going to say this right now. You're sending me all these fake profiles, right? If you think that sending me a fake friend request to dodgy accounts where the profile picture is a sexy female in a bra and knickers, do you think that's going to work? Nah, barking up the wrong tree. Okay, let's do shout outs. Michelle Bell. Hello, Michelle. How you doing? Hello, and thank you for being great in the Facebook group. And also, I just love a first name and a surname that rhymes. So Michelle Bell, I mean, that's a winner. That's always going to be a winner. So yeah, no, thank you for your lovely contributions. Hayley Andrews, thank you for making Extraordinary Stories podcast your number one on Spotify. I loved seeing all of the Spotify end of year listening charts. I'm sure most people have got Spotify. Maybe if you don't, basically what they do is they generate towards the end of the year what you've listened to the most, what kind of genre you're into, etc, etc. So yeah, so it was really cool. Everyone was sending little pictures of going, yeah, Extraordinary Stories podcast is my number one. I mean, I was in some seriously sexy company. Case File, Generation Y, They Walk Among Us, J'adore, They Walk Among Us. I mean, I will say in some cases I was maybe number 3 in the charts and not number 1, but you know, whatever, I'm over it. So yeah, so Hayley, thanks for that. David Scales, thank you for your message and for the videos of a case that I might be interested in. I appreciate that. And I don't think this is your real name, but I'm going to go with it. And if it is your real name, it's a great name. Jem de Gur. I'm not sure if that's right, but that's your name on Instagram. So hello, and thank you for getting in touch. And finally, if you emailed asking for an address to send either me or Alfie a Christmas gift, I will be in touch soon. I will get that to you. I've got my security team working on a safe address that you can send it to. Lol. Like I've got a security team. Alfie's head of security. Brilliant. Okay, right, let's get on with the story. Okay, get your thinking caps, your smoking jackets, and your magnifying glasses on, because this is a mystery. A very strange tale, and I will be keen to hear your thoughts. Are you ready? Okay, let's go. County Sligo in Ireland is just a really beautiful place. So picture it, if you will, like lots of greenery, very picturesque. It's near a beach. Just really beautiful bit in the northwest of Ireland. Not a big place. The town itself quite small. Few shops, a few pubs, and quite a small community. So when this little tiny unassuming place made headlines in 2009, it just puzzled everyone. The story starts with a flight which arrives into Derry in Ireland. Now, Derry isn't one of the major airports in Ireland. You're really sort of, I guess you'd be looking at either Dublin or Belfast, but Derry does have its own airport, but it's just not one of its bigger places that you would necessarily fly into. So off of the flight, the passengers get off the flight and they come through the airport and they head in their various directions. Some go to the bus station for onward travel, some for taxis, some for trains. Now, out of those passengers, there is a man who gets off and he heads to the bus station. And he gets on a bus for the place I was just talking about, County Sligo. So it's a 2.5 hour journey, and he undertakes this on the bus. And then he arrives right in the centre of the town. Now the man. Let's talk about him, or at least what we know of him, which is very little. Right, now what I need you to do here is switch on the bit of your brain that views the story I'm going to tell you as if you were watching CCTV. Because what we are going to discover as we go is that most of this story is told through CCTV. CCTV is our friend in this story, and really, it's our only guide. So this man, he would appear to be in his mid to late 50s, potentially early 60s. And to look at, he is quite a tall man. He's thin. He's smartly dressed. He's wearing sort of chinos, a blue shirt, and a black leather jacket. And he's carrying with him a shoulder bag, a sort of suitcase type shoulder bag, and a laptop bag. So if you saw this man, you'd probably look at him and think, could look like a man on business. He could be someone undertaking a solo trip. Anyway, no one is really paying that much attention to this man right now, except we are. And we're going to look specifically at 4 days in his life in June 2009. And this is just day one. So when he arrives in the centre of County Sligo, he gets off and he goes to the taxi rank. And in one of the very few interactions he has with anyone, he gets in and he asks the taxi driver to take him to a cheap hotel. So the taxi driver, who was Irish, I'm sure, was like, "Oh, be Jesus, top of the morning to ya. Hey, where do you want to go?" It's brilliant. So the driver, who I'm going to call Seamus, Seamus the Irishman. I'm sorry, Irish people, if I'm offending you with my Irish accent and my Irish names. Although I will say this, I don't really have that many Irish listeners, so, and I'm sure this is not going to entice them. Suddenly the whole of Ireland's up in arms. So Seamus the taxi driver, he takes him to a little guest house, but the problem is it's full. So he gets back in the taxi, and the taxi driver, Seamus, says, "Look, I think I might have to take you to possibly the Sligo Hotel, which is right bang in the city centre. They might have a room." So the man agrees, and when he gets there, he discovers that yes, they do have a room available. So he pays the taxi, he gets out, he goes to the counter, and again, imagine we're only seeing this moment through CCTV. He goes to the counter, he asks for a single room for 3 nights, he's told the price, and he pays it in cash, in full. So the receptionist, she takes some details from him. She asks for his name, and he says it's Peter Bergman. Peter Bergman. And that's Bergman with 2 N's on the end. Now, what the receptionist will remember is that she noticed straight away he had an accent. And she describes it as a thick German accent. So, during the process of checking into the hotel, he doesn't have to produce any identification, which I think is actually the law. I think you are supposed to have some form of identification, but this hotel is slightly sidestepping the rules here. He doesn't have to produce anything, but what he does have to do is give a home address. And he says that his home address is, oh my god, let me get this right, Einstern 15 447 Vienna, Austria. Aha, thinks the receptionist. Okay, so, not German, he's from Vienna. So, his accent is Vienna-ish. That's not right, is it? Venetian? Venti? Oh no, hang on. That's a size of cup in Starbucks. Anyway, so she thinks, so he's not German. He's from Venice. So he gives his address and off he goes. He gets his room key and he goes to room 705. So not long after he gets into his room, he's seen again on the CCTV footage, and he steps out into the hallway of the hotel for a cigarette. The footage here is really interesting because it looks like he's really using the time he's got having this cigarette to really think. You know, he looks like someone who's deep in thought. Anyway, he finishes and he goes back to his room. An hour or so later, and this would be about maybe 8 o'clock at night, he's seen leaving the hotel on the cameras, and he has with him quite a distinctive purple plastic bag, and it's filled with something. When the cameras see him returning to the hotel that same evening, the purple plastic bag isn't with him. Now, when he left the hotel, he had it, and now he doesn't. He goes to his hotel room, and that is the end of day 1. So now day 2 arrives. The following morning he gets up, he leaves the hotel, and just guess, what does he have with him? A purple plastic bag filled with something. Not sure what's in this bag. And again, when the cameras see him returning to the hotel, he doesn't have it. What's going on with this purple plastic bag? What the hell is what is actually going on? And that's a good question, but it's only the start of the questions. Let's turn to our good friend the CCTV here for an answer. On the second day that Peter Bergman is in Ireland, the cameras see him leaving the hotel with a purple plastic bag. The cameras outside watch him walk down the street. He stops, he looks around, and then he turns into a quieter street where there are no cameras. When the cameras watch him come back into the hotel, the plastic bag is gone. This will happen a total of 12 times in the same day. Each time when he leaves the hotel, he takes a slightly different route. He's on foot, but he leaves the hotel. He always looks around, and then he goes down a little quiet street somewhere, and then returns to the hotel once more without the bag. 12 times in the one day. Very bizarre. Very strange behaviour. So, when they're asked about it, people in the town will say, yeah, they've got hazy, sort of vague memories of a man who might have had a purple plastic bag in his hand. No one can really definitely commit to it, but they think, yeah, okay, I think I might have seen that man. Yeah, he might have been putting something in a bin. But the question is, if the cameras have seen this 12 times in one day, what the hell is Peter Bergman getting rid of? What is he getting rid of into bins that he knows are not being watched? Why all the scattering through local bins in the town? The same day that he's made his 12 visits to the bins, he goes to the local post office and he buys 10 stamps. Now, they're the kind of stamps that you would buy for posting, just something locally. Your average stamp, basically. But he also buys a set of airmail stickers. And then he returns to the hotel. So the post office staff, when they're asked, they remember serving him. They remember that he bought 10 stamps and then he bought airmail stamps. But do they remember if he posted any letters that day? Well, no one can quite remember if he did. The CCTV footage of the post office was lost. And no one can quite remember, did he post anything? So, this is still the second day, and he's going in and out of the hotel, avoiding the CCTV where he can. And what's strange is, I find this so weird, sometimes he has with him the laptop bag, sometimes he doesn't. It changes each time. He'll often leave with the hold all, the big over-the-shoulder bag, and then he'll come back without it. And then, a little bit later on, you'll see him with the bag, and then without it. I mean, what is happening here? Very peculiar behaviour. But you know, it's a busy hotel. No one is really paying that much attention to what Peter Bergman is doing. They don't really, do they, in hotels, in big, busy hotels? Well, actually, you know what? I say that, right? I say that they don't really pay much attention, but actually, well, sometimes they do. I had a bit of a weird situation happen to me, right? This was like, what would it have been, 2 years ago? So I was in Belfast, and I was staying in a big, massive sort of chain hotel. Can't remember which one it was at the time, but it's one of these big, massive chain hotels. And I was on my own, right? So I was on my own, and I was this is going to sound really dodgy. I can actually hear myself saying it, and oh my god, it's going to sound dodgy. I don't mean it to. I was going up to my room when I bumped into a group of people who said, "We're having a party in our room. Do you want to come?" I told you it sounded dodgy. It really wasn't that dodgy, but they were just like in party mode. They were like, yeah, there's going to be like 7 or 8 of us. We're going to a party. Do you want to come? And I was like, yeah, why not? You know what? Say the word party. I'm there. So that was fine. I went to this hotel room at the party. Lovely. Bunch of strangers. Didn't know them. Listen, give me the opportunity to be in a room full of strangers who have stories. Yes, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be the one who's there going, tell me your story. Tell me your life story. Can I do it in a podcast? Great. So anyway, we're having this sort of party, and then there's a knock on the door, because the party was a bit loud, right? It might have been a bit loud. And the manager came to the door. Now, what I did in this situation, why in the hell I did this, what the fuck I was thinking, I do not know. I hid in the bathroom. Why would you do that? I'm an adult and I hid in the bathroom, right? Like, what? I thought I was a teenager getting caught at a party. I hid in the bathroom. The guy who was hosting the party, he opened the door and he was like, yes, gonna help you. And the manager was like, oh, there's too much noise coming from this room, and if you're having a party, you have to calm it down because you're upsetting the other guests, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. This is what the manager asked. Is Barry Henderson here? What? Why did he know my name and nobody else's? Isn't that fucking weird? Isn't that the strangest thing? The guy said, no, I've no idea who you're talking about. So the manager left, closed the door, and the party continued. But that still plays on my mind. Because weirdly, it wasn't the manager who signed me into the hotel. So how the hell did he know I was in the room? Very odd. Very, very odd. I think if I thought about it too much, it would probably freak me out. So anyway, sorry, that was a bit of a derailment from the story, but yeah, I'm saying no one was paying attention to Peter Bergman. Maybe people were. Alright, well, I'm glad we've all learned something from that story. Anyway, day 2 for Peter comes to an end when he arrives back at the hotel around 11 o'clock and he goes to bed. And now for day 3. It's going to get weirder. On day 3, he seems to be done with this purple plastic bag business and whatever that is. He gets up, and what he does is he goes to the taxi rank. And he stands in the taxi rank in the city centre. Lots of taxi drivers thinking, does he want a taxi? Does he not want a taxi? What's going on here? And he's looking at a map and he looks a bit confused. So a taxi driver gets out and he says, do you need a hand? So this taxi driver, let's call him Finnegan McGuinness. That's his name. Finnegan McGuinness says to him, do you want to go somewhere, or what is it you're looking for? And Peter Bergman says to him, I want to go swimming, but I don't want to go today. I'm looking to go another day, but I'm looking for advice on where is the best place to go. And so he's pointing on the map to a place called Strand Hill. And what did I call him? Finnegan McGuinness says, no, you don't want to go there. That is the surfing beach. You'll not have a great time at the surfing beach. Instead, you want to go to a place called Ross's Point. And that's a far better beach. It'll be busy when you go because we're having nice weather, but it'll be slightly quieter than the surfer beach. And so Peter Bergman says, right, that sounds fine. Can you take me there now in a taxi, just so that I can see it? And the taxi driver says, yep, okay, fine. They get in the taxi, they drive to the beach. And when they get there, Peter Bergman doesn't actually get out of the taxi. Instead, he just looks at the beach. And he works out where the entrance to it is. And then he says to the taxi driver, okay, can you now take me back to the bus station in the centre of town? Now that I've seen the beach, can you take me back? And the taxi driver says, yeah, okay, I sure can. When he gets to the bus station, Peter Bergman goes to the little office and he asks, is there a bus that I can get to that beach tomorrow? Is that possible? And he's told, yes, that's perfectly possible. There's buses that leave tomorrow. Come down, buy your ticket, and you'll be on your way to the beach. At the end of checking that information out, Peter Bergman goes back to his hotel. And that is the end of day 3. And now for day 4. Peter Bergman asks for a late checkout from the Sligo Hotel. So he checks out at 11 a.m. and he appears at reception with 3 bags. The same that he arrived with, the over-the-shoulder bag, the laptop bag, and the return of his favourite, the purple plastic bag. Return of the bag, oh yeah, return of the bag. He loves these purple plastic bags. So he gives back his room key. He heads out of the hotel and he goes towards the bus station. Now, CCTV footage will show that when he arrived at the bus station, he's now only got the one bag. The over-the-shoulder. The purple plastic bag is gone. The laptop bag is gone. Where are they? Well, we can only assume that through his avoidance of CCTV, he has been able to dispose of them somewhere in the town. So he's in the bus station and he's got a bit of a wait for the bus, so he goes to, like the little cafes in a bus station. Now, my apologies if you're listening to this and you work in one of these places, but oh my god, I find them so depressing. I don't know what they're like in other countries. They might be better in other places, but oh my god, in the UK, those little cafes, why is there an air of sadness about them? That's all I get. Is I'm like, oh, I'm not going to get a coffee from there because they just look so sad. Again, I'm sorry if you work in one, but they do. Anyway, that aside, he orders a coffee and he orders a cheese and ham sandwich. Or, if you're posh, a croque monsieur. I think that's what it's called. Is it a croque monsieur? Or a croque madame? What's the difference? What's the difference between a croque madame and a croque monsieur? Oh, one's got ham and one... No, is that right? Oh my god, I've just worked out why. I've just remembered. A croque monsieur has ham in it, and a croque madame has only cheese in it. I've just worked out what that is. I used to work in cafes where I would sell a croque monsieur or a croque madame. I've just realised is the ham meant to be about having a penis? Have I gone mad? What? What's happening? Have I lost my mind? But I think I'm right. I think a croque monsieur is with ham. A croque madame is without ham. And I think it's because I've never realised that. Oh, well, there you go. Well, you learn something new every bloody day, apparently. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I think I'm right. Anyway, none of that is important to the story. I don't know why I've gotten myself lost talking about this. Anyway, he bites into his cheese and ham sandwich, and he takes a piece of paper out of his pocket. He writes a few things on the piece of paper, and then he rips the paper up and he puts it in the bins. This guy loves bins. He just loves putting things in bins. He's been obsessed. So sitting in the little depressing cafe in the bus station, he's written this note and he's ripped it up. Finally he gets on the bus. Now, it was a scorching 17 degrees that day in Ireland. And so when he gets to the beach, it's kind of busy. There's families, there's couples, there's people on their own, there's just, it's busy. So he goes onto the beach and he rolls up his trouser legs, takes off his jacket, rolls up his sleeves. And what he's doing is he's just sort of wandering up and down the sand where the tide is coming in and hitting at his legs. So this is kind of the afternoon, maybe 3 o'clock. And he's still there walking up and down at 5 o'clock, roughly in the same spot. At 8 o'clock that evening, Peter is still walking up and down that same bit of the beach. And sometimes he's stopping to look out onto the water, and then he returns to walking. At 9:30 that evening, a couple who are out for an evening walk, they spot Peter in that same place. He's walking up and down. At 11:30 that evening, he's been on the beach now for 7 hours. He's still walking up and down. And those who saw him do the walk up and down, the way they describe it is so interesting. They sort of talk about it a bit like he was in, I don't know, I think one of them uses the word trance, or that there was something repetitive about what he was doing, that there was some kind of meditation, or there was some kind of peacefulness or something in the way that Peter was just walking up and down. Now that sighting at 11:30 p.m. that evening, when the beach is dark, is the last time that anyone would see Peter Bergman alive. The following morning, a man called Arthur Kinsella, he's walking down the beach, he's with his son. They're near the water, and suddenly Arthur notices something lying in the sand, and it's a shape that when he looks at, he thinks, even from a distance, he knows what it is. He looks at it and he thinks that looks like a body lying there. And he gets closer, and it is a body. It's a male, and the male is naked. And it's clear to Arthur, who's just walking down the beach with his son, that this man is dead. Arthur would say later that it looked as if he had drowned and been washed ashore. And then he notices that there are belongings lying all around, scattered around. There's a bag, there's some bits of clothing, and there's a purple plastic bag. Arthur immediately grabs his son and calls the police. Now, immediately when Irish police arrive, they just think the same thing. They go, okay, a man sadly has drowned, probably by accident, and the water has washed him up here. They look around and they collect all of the belongings that they can find. So there's like a pile of clothes on a rock, and there's a few bits and pieces like a watch, and there's some cash. And they take him to the nearest hospital to perform an autopsy and identify him so that they can let his family know what has happened. And it's now that police have a problem. There is not one bit of identification on this man. In all of his belongings, there is not one thing. Not a sausage. Not a thing. So they're going, this is really weird. Because obviously, remember, right, I've told you what's happened day 1, day 2, day 3, and now we're on day 4. So we sort of know what he's been doing via CCTV. Police have no idea. They've just arrived on a beach and gone, oh, here's a man who looks like he's really sadly drowned. But now they've got this mystery on their hands because they're like, well, hang on. Why can we not identify who he is? They go through all of his stuff, and what they discover straight away, which they think, that's odd. All of his clothing, and I mean every bit of his clothing, has got the labels cut out of them. How strange. So there's swimming trunks, there's a jumper, there's t-shirts, there's shirts, there's trousers. All of the labels have been removed. There's a watch, there's a jacket, there's 170 euros in cash. But there's no stamps. And there is nothing with a name on it. So, right, when police start to ask questions about this and start to look at it, they think, right, okay, let's work backwards here. Let's assume the man has driven to the beach, but then they can't find a car that has been abandoned. So they go, alright, let's assume he perhaps got here by bus. They discover this to be true, and the bus leads them back to the taxi rank, back to Seamus McGuinness. And he says, yeah, I took this man yesterday to the beach. I know exactly who you're talking about. This then leads to the hotel. They check the hotels in the town. There's only a handful. And they watch the CCTV footage of the past few days. And bingo, bango, Mick, brilliantness, that's the man in the CCTV footage who's currently lying in the morgue. So they go to the receptionist and they check his details. Okay, brilliant. They've got a name. Peter Bergman. Better than that, they have an address, and it's in Vienna. But very quickly, police will discover this. The address in Vienna, it doesn't exist. Or rather, it does exist, but it's an empty stretch of land. No one lives there. What they discover next just makes it worse. Peter Bergman is not a name that appears anywhere, in any system, either in Vienna, Germany, the UK. Peter Bergman with the 2 N's on the end of his name, which is very, very rare. Very rare. And as it turns out, no one spells it with 2 N's on the end of the name. This man has made this name up. So what it comes down to for police is, who the hell is he? Why is he here? Why this beach? What are these circumstances? And I have to tell you, my friends, there is no answer to that question. The autopsy done on the dead man's body only confuses the issue, because the pathologist will say with absolute certainty, this man did not drown. That is not the cause of his death. There simply isn't the evidence of salt water in his lungs. So how did he die? Well, the autopsy reveals some very, very perplexing things. But do they also provide an answer? The state of his body was terrible. It was a complete mess. It was battered. It was bruised. Tests will show that he had suffered a heart attack in the past, in another time in his life, and that his body was in the later stages of prostate cancer. However, there was not a single trace of medication found in his system, which only baffles people even further, because he must have been in quite intense pain, and yet there's not a bit, not one trace of medication. Police essentially, and this must be terrible if you're a police officer, I would hate to have to do this, they have to throw their hands up here and say, we don't know what has happened here. Like, we don't have an actual clue. We don't know who he is. So, they do their best. What they do is they go out and they talk to the people of County Sligo. It reveals nothing. It reveals nothing that the CCTV footage can't already tell them. The bins are checked, and of course, the bins have been emptied. Because there are those sort of bins in a town centre, city centre, they get emptied pretty regularly. So whatever he has been putting in those bins, it's gone, and it's gone forever. And that only leads to just more and more and more frustration. In the meantime, police do this, and I think this is a pretty good idea. They decide to put information out in Germany, in Vienna, in various parts of the world, and what they're hoping is that someone will call and say, I know this man. That man is my dad. That man is my uncle. That man is my florist. I don't know, whoever. But that call, it never comes. The belongings on the beach, they offer nothing in terms of who this guy is. So, when detectives cannot work it out, they have to chalk it up to, we just don't know, and we might never know. Now, they can't work it out, but I'll tell you who's giving it a very, very good go. That, my friends, is the internet. your good old pal, the web. The web, if you go on, when you finish this, go and type Peter Bergman, 2 N's, you will find pages upon 4 billion pages of theories and thoughts and ideas and questions around the Peter Bergman story. So what I've done is I've pulled together very quickly just 3 of the theories that I think, okay, let's see what people have to say. Number 1. This man knew that he was about to die from cancer, and he essentially designed his own death, devising that he would be on that beach until it happened. He would walk that shore until he dropped down dead. Okay, sure, yep, I get that. I know that lots of people design their own death. I understand that. But why then did he destroy all of his belongings? What was he hiding? That theory just gives me more questions than it does provide me with answers. So, number 2. He was involved in something bad. And that something meant he had to leave his country and everything behind. He found a small town in Ireland where he wouldn't be discovered. And in that way, he could destroy the evidence of whatever that bad thing was that he was involved in. I sort of think this one has maybe got the most legs in it. Is that the phrase? Got the most wheels to it? I don't know what the phrase is, but yeah, I don't know. Sort of what's tied up with this theory that I do quite like is it gets pointed out an awful lot that the man knew how to dodge all CCTV, and he was able to live for 4 days in a very small town, acting the way he did. So that might possibly suggest a little bit of training, police training. Was he a spy? Was he an agent? Was he destroying something for an organisation? Possible. I mean, the laptop that he got rid of on the way to the beach, it was never found. And this is the third theory. He was framed for something in his own country. And he'd gathered together all of the evidence. He'd fled the country, and on that beach, he took an undetectable suicide pill. That one I have maybe the most trouble with. But then at the same time, I will say this. How many extraordinary stories have we been through together on this podcast journey? Weird fucking shit happens. Weird things happen. So, yeah. So 10 years on. Still no one knows. And the chances that we will ever know just get slimmer all the time. Peter Bergman will forever be known as the man who deleted his identity before dying on a beach. And so ends the story. Right then, booyah! Another story down, another story down. Yeah, the Peter Bergman. That's a weirdo one, isn't it? Yeah, I'm so intrigued. What was in those fucking plastic bags? What was he getting rid of? What? I mean, 12 times in one day, taking stuff out to bins, get rid of it. I mean, that is some careful planning. That is some serious thought that he's given to that. Anyway, I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, your theories. Yeah, so get in touch. Let me know, what do you think the Peter Bergman story is all about? Okay, right, well, I'm going to go. It's been lovely to chat with you again. I hope you enjoyed this story. I'll be back soon with the next one. In the meantime, you know what to do. I'm on all the social medias. I'm on the Twitters. I'm on the Instagrams. I'm on the Facebook. Get in the group. Say hello. Send me an email, extraordinarystoriespodcast@gmail.com. If you have left me a voicemail, the reason I'm not ending on the voicemails right now, I've lost the charger. I've lost the bloody charger for the phone. Right now, I know buying chargers is quite easy. Not the kind of phone that I bought. Oh, for some reason, it's really, and I have to get it ordered from China, and it's going to take me about a week for it to arrive. So I do have voicemails, and I know that you're contacting me, but I've lost the charger for the phone. I'll find it. It'll be somewhere. It'll be in a bag somewhere. That's the current state of my life. I just don't know where it is. I don't know what the hell's going on. Anyway, so if you have been leaving me voicemails, don't think I'm just ignoring you. Don't think I'm hitting the delete button, because I'm not. Yeah, so get in touch. Remember, the Extraordinary Stories podcast merchandise shop is out there. Should you want to buy a loved one a nice, Christmas gift that says, "Are you well, are you good? I am," or says, I don't know, "Shouty Man, I heart Shouty Man." Great, do it. Yeah, lovely. Alright, well, I look forward to hearing from you. Alright, okay. Goodbye.
It didn't affect me really one way or the other. I would imagine from the look on his face. Let's get it on. Let's do it. Let's get it over. Let's get it on. Let's do it. Let's get it over.